NetherRealm, NetherRealm, NetherRealm. You've been working on your next game for a while now, and rumor has it it's going to be another Mortal Kombat. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Mortal Kombat as much as the next guy who doesn't like Mortal Kombat, but what about Injustice? I want some of that superhero fighting game goodness. I mean, I could always play multiverses, but it's not quite the same when Superman keeps taking pies to the face. Oh, right. Anyway, I know the real reason you haven't made Injustice 3 yet. You're not sure which characters to include. Well, I don't mean to brag, but I 100%ed LEGO Batman 3 Beyond Gotham, so I think I know a thing or two about DC Comics. Good morrow everyone, Silvershire here, and welcome back to Armchair Game Design, where I pretend to know more about making games than the people who make games. Today, I'm going to be pitching my choices for the roster of Injustice 3, but first, we need to figure out how big that roster will actually be. Including DLC, Injustice Gods Among Us had 30 characters. Injustice 2 cut 17 of those characters and added 25 new ones for a grand total of 38. My original plan was to once again cut 17 and add 25, but that's a lot. So instead, I looked at NetherRealm's most recent game, Mortal Kombat 11. It cut 16 characters from Mortal Kombat X and added 22, which seems a bit more manageable. The 16 characters up on the chopping block are, and I'm sorry if any of these are your mains, Hellboy, Sub-Zero, Swamp Thing, the Joker, Gorilla Grodd, Deadshot, the Atom, Enchantress, Dr. Fate, Darkseid, Captain Cold, Robin, Scarecrow, Brainiac, Raiden, and the TMNT. Personally, I'd like to keep Enchantress, Captain Cold, and Scarecrow over Catwoman, Black Adam, or Bane, but even though this is my dream roster, I am trying to be fair and realistic. But now that we've ripped off the band-aid, it's time for the fun part. So without any further ado, let's get into this. Let's get the obvious ones out of the way first. Static and Beast Boy. These two are at the top of pretty much every Injustice wishlist, and it's easy to see why. Static, despite not being a big name in the comics, is well known among my generation thanks to the DCAU, and he's come tantalizingly close to appearing in both Injustice Gods Among Us and Injustice 2. He would be the fourth electricity-based character in the series, but his static saucer would give him a unique rushdown-focused twist. Of course, that doesn't mean he couldn't inherit some moves from Shazam and Raiden. As far as story is concerned, he would fit in nicely alongside Supergirl, Blue Beetle, and Firestorm as the next generation of heroes, though it would also be cool to see an older version of Static. Beast Boy is a similarly popular character, and the only member of the 2003 Teen Titans lineup who hasn't made his way to Injustice. He's able to transform into any animal in the blink of an eye, so the possibilities for his moveset are nearly endless. Fellow Titan Cyborg is one of the few former heroes who still follow Superman's tyrannical regime, so the two of them would certainly have some interesting interactions. There are technical reasons that Beast Boy would be difficult to implement, but I think it would be well worth the effort. MK11 has a shapeshifter and even a guy who turns into a cat, so maybe that was them testing the waters. And yes, I know Beast Boy is canonically dead in the Injustice universe, but that really doesn't matter. If there's a character that NetherRealm wants on the roster, they'll find a way to make it work, just like they did with Joker, Green Arrow, and Scarecrow. Heck, they didn't even explain Scarecrow, they just acted like his death never happened. Now that we have a couple of fan favorites, let's look at one of my weirder picks. Punchline. She's a relatively recent addition to the DC universe, having been introduced in 2020 as part of the Joker Wars storyline. Since Harley Quinn is generally depicted as an anti-hero or even a straight-up hero these days, the Joker needed a new right-hand woman, which is a role that his superfan Punchline was more than happy to fill. Her story would need to be altered a bit since Injustice's Joker is, well, you know. So instead, I would make her the new leader of the Joker clan. Her weapons of choice are twin knives, but she's also been known to employ some of her idol's wacky gadgets, so she could serve as a pseudo-replacement for his playstyle. She'd be a great nemesis for Harley and could stir up bad memories for the likes of Superman and Red Hood. Also, she's an influencer, so I would love to see what kind of cringy dialogue NetherRealm would give her. Haha, POV, tell me you're a supervillain without telling me you're a supervillain. L plus ratio, no cap. Computer, translate this Sumer nonsense. Speaking of young people who get on everyone's nerves, Damian Wayne. Yes, I may have cut Robin from the roster, but we're not getting rid of the little brat that easily. Back in Injustice Gods Among Us, Damian had already taken up the mantle of Nightwing, and he was only Robin in Injustice 2 because his appearance in story mode is part of a flashback. So I say we bring back the adult Damian, terrible haircut and all. He could even have a Dick Grayson premiere skin for the Nightwing purists out there. And while we're bringing back older characters, Raven. If we're including Cyborg, Starfire, Beast Boy, and the former Robin, we gotta get the whole gang back together. Many people, myself included, feel like the first game didn't really do Raven justice. In fact, I guess you could say they did her Gods Among Us. This time around, I hope that NetherRealm would take a page or two out of Enchantress's book, because I found her a lot more fun. But we can't stop at just one magic user, so up next is John Constantine. This chain-smoking chap is another highly requested character. As a warlock, his abilities include everything but the kitchen sink. He can stop time, summon demons, turn invisible, cast illusions, open portals to other dimensions, and do a whole cavalcade of elemental magic, just to name a few. But the main reason I'm including him is for his interactions. It'd be great to see his dry British humor and casual cynicism bounce off the other characters.
The magic I perform brings people happiness.
Are you sure it's not the 2-drink minimum, love?
You're such a pessimist.
I mean, tell me that wasn't Injustice intro dialogue. Now for someone with a decidedly less complicated approach to combat. Killer Croc. Also, as a premier skin, King Shark. Without Swamp Thing and Gorilla Grodd, the roster is in serious need of some more big bruisers, and these two semi-aquatic supervillains are perfect candidates. It could easily be the other way around, with Killer Croc serving as a premier skin for King Shark, but I decided on Croc as the default character because I think he has more potential for gear. Shark tends to just wear pants and occasionally a hoodie, whereas Croc is often seen with manacles, bandages, and other accessories. Plus, NetherRealm has history with Croc, as he cameoed in both Injustice games and served as the basis for Baraka's DC-inspired skin in MK11. Speaking of which, even though I'm not a fan of the franchise, I think we should continue the tradition of including a Mortal Kombat guest. Liu Kang. As the protagonist of the series, well, most of it anyway, he makes for a good representative, and his high-flying kung fu would be unique among the cast of DC heroes. For his character trait, he could temporarily assume his Fire God form from MK11, giving him control over the elements. But fan favorites, Mortal Kombat guests, this is all pretty expected, so it's time for another curveball. Negative Man. Not to be confused with Marvel's Mr. Negative, Negative Man is a founding member of the Doom Patrol. In addition to your run-of-the-mill energy blasts, he has the power to project an ethereal copy of himself, which has puppet character written all over it. I see a ton of potential for a strange, highly technical moveset. Beast Boy was once a member of the Doom Patrol, so including Negative Man would give him a connection outside of the Titans. Plus, he wears sunglasses and that makes him cool. You know who else wears sunglasses? Plastic Man. This guy seems like a no-brainer for Injustice 3. He has an interesting power, an eccentric personality, and a prominent role in both the Injustice comics and the Injustice movie. His playstyle would probably be incredibly annoying to deal with, but honestly that's on brand for him. Plus, there's a surprising number of stretchy DC characters who could serve as premier skins. Another character who played a big part in the comics is Ra's al Ghul. I'm hesitant to include too many new Batman villains because the roster is already teeming with them, but come on, it's Ra's al freaking Ghul. The series' other swordsmen have been mostly quick, aggressive characters, but Ra's is a strategist and a master manipulator, so I'd like to see him with more of a defensive, methodical playstyle. He would have melee counters and strong punishes to help him control the flow of battle. And since the Lazarus Pit has made him basically immortal, he could have some kind of healing ability too. But for those who prefer a faster, flashier style, allow me to introduce Katana. You've all seen the meme, so I don't think I need to explain what her deal is. She would be a rushdown character more akin to Robin, with big combos and unrelenting pressure. Her Soul Taker sword could drain super meter from her opponent, much like Yoshimitsu's similarly cursed katana from Soul Calibur. She probably wouldn't hop around on it like a pogo stick, though. Speaking of Suicide Squad members, up next is Captain Boomerang. Since I cut Grodd and Captain Cold, we need another Flash villain, and this blunder from Down Under could be a ton of fun in a fighting game. I'm imagining his eponymous projectile would be on a cooldown, but if you pressed a button to catch it just as it returned to his hand, he could immediately throw it again and keep up momentum. Despite his, well, everything, Captain Boomerang has experienced a bit of a popularity surge as of late, appearing in the Arrowverse, both Suicide Squad movies, and the upcoming Suicide Squad video game. Captain Boomerang's a thief, and you know what thieves do? They steal. Yeah, nailed that transition. The roster really needs some more Superman representation, and Steel would be a great change of pace from the Kryptonians. Natasha Irons is the second character to take up the mantle of Steel, the first being her uncle, John Henry Irons. John died in the Injustice comics, and again, that doesn't really matter, but since Natasha has all the same powers and abilities, I don't see any reason not to carry on with her. She would probably play similarly to Shere Khan from Mortal Kombat. Wait, no, that's the tiger. She would probably play similarly to Shao Kahn from Mortal Kombat. Though primarily a tanky melee fighter, she can also throw her hammer and control it in mid-air. I don't have a good transition for this next one. Cheshire. This grinning assassin has used a ton of different weapons over the years, including katanas, sai, claws, and even her sharpened fingernails, any or all of which sound like fun options. But the one thing that's remained consistent is her use of deadly toxins. Her character trait could coat her blades in poison, temporarily making all of her attacks deal additional damage over time and perhaps some other debilitating effects. Sometimes she can turn invisible too, depending on how much the writers want to lean into the Wonderland reference. The only downside to including Cheshire is that NetherRealm would have to split their cat puns up across 3 different characters, but I have a feeling there's enough Meowterial to work with, especially if they hire some Mew-Writers. I'm sorry. As fun as these new characters are, there's still one more legacy character I want to bring back. And seeing as how Captain Cold and Sub-Zero are out of the picture, you know it's gotta be Killer Frost. To be honest, I'm mainly just including Killer Frost because the punk rock redesign they gave her for Injustice Gods Among Us is awesome, and I want to see what her gear would look like. But there's also a good story reason to bring her back. In the mainstream comics, Killer Frost is Firestorm's arch-nemesis, but he wasn't in the first game and she wasn't in the second, so these two have never had a chance to clash in the Injustice-verse. Also, maybe there could be a funny interaction where Liu Kang mistakes her for Frost, since, you know, Frost, Killer Frost. But if you prefer water in liquid form, you're sure to like Mara. Since King Shark is only a premiere skin, I want to include another Aquaman character, and the Queen of Atlantis seems like the obvious choice. She has the power of hydrokinesis, meaning she can control water. I've seen a lot of people say that she would be too similar to her hubby, but I really don't think that's the case. Aquaman only has 2 water-based moves, both of which are defensive abilities. For the most part, he fights with his trident and some summon marine life. Mara, on the other hand, would actually use water to attack, and anyone who's seen The Last Airbender will know just how versatile and visually appealing that can be. So we have water, ice, fire, lightning. I think we need some air. That's right, it's Red Tornado. In his first appearance, Red Tornado is an evil android created by Dr. T.O. Morrow. Yes, really. Who got possessed by a benevolent alien tornado god, yes, really, and became a superhero. None of that's relevant, I just can't get over how bonkers it is. Red Tornado would be a perfect anti-zoner, able to redirect projectiles and draw the opponent closer with vortexes of wind. His mechanical nature would make for some fun interactions as well. We have had a few emotionless robots in the past, but they were all villains. Red Tornado would be more like Data from Star Trek. He might not really get humanity, but he's trying his best. And while we're on the subject of shows from the 80s, He-Man. Right now, most of you are probably thinking, what? Why on earth would He-Man be an Injustice? And the rest of you are thinking, oh yeah, like the comics. In 2018, there is an official crossover between Injustice and Masters of the Universe, in which, following the bad ending of Injustice 2, Superman used Brainiac's technology to invade Eternia. DC is no stranger to weird crossovers, but this is the only time that another property has crossed over with Injustice specifically, aside from the guest characters in the games, of course. He would fight with a mix of his power sword and some unarmed throws, much like Tusk from Killer Instinct. And for his character trait, he could summon Battle Cat to aid him. NetherRealm loves to have characters transform during their intros, so Prince Adam running in and using the power of Grayskull would fit right in. There's only 3 spots left, and we still need a Green Lantern villain. I know a lot of people want Larfleeze, but while he would be fun, we already have a puppet character in Negative Man. So instead, I'm going with the Black Hand. As a Black Lantern, he has many of the same abilities as the other Lanterns, but he also has power over death. He could inherit some of Solomon Grundy's and Scarecrow's creepier moves, such as the former Swamp Hand special attack. I was initially hesitant to include a Black Lantern, because it would be kind of weird to include such a major threat without revolving the whole plot around it. But then I remembered that Darkseid was a pre-order bonus with no impact on the story, so yeah, I think it's okay. Plus, since I went with Black Hand rather than Necron, there's still a big bad to introduce if NetherRealm wants to tackle a Blackest Night storyline in the future. That reminds me, my roster is still missing a main villain, and if Injustice 3 brings back the Titans, it's only fitting that one of their most powerful adversaries appears to face them. Trigon. While the previous games have featured magic users and even gods, supernatural forces haven't played a major part in the story, so a demon of near limitless power would be a great way to escalate the stakes. Trigon is especially scary in the Injustice-verse because his daughter Raven, who is usually instrumental in defeating him, is actually on his side. I'm picturing him with a moveset reminiscent of Dormammu from Marvel vs. Capcom, possibly with the addition of some summonable minions. While he is physically imposing, he should be a spellcaster first and foremost. He would see combat with these mere mortals as beneath him. That leaves just one more spot on the roster, and it's going to Amazo. This is a highly advanced android who uses absorption cells to copy the abilities of others, most often the Justice League. Like Ogre from Tekken or Seth from Street Fighter, Amazo's base moveset would be comprised of attacks taken from other fighters, perhaps including cut characters like Hawkgirl and Martian Manhunter. Then, his character trait could let him fully transform into his opponent like Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat. Mimics and amalgamation characters seem to have fallen out of favor in the FGC as of late, but they're always some of my favorites. I like seeing how familiar moves change when placed in new contexts. But if they do include him, they should definitely go with a DCAU-inspired design. The smooth, retro-futuristic style looks way better than Discount Green Goblin over here. And with that, I'm gonna leave this video here. NetherRealm, I hope I helped you decide who to include in Injustice 3. But I'm not the only armchair expert around here, so to all of my lovely viewers, who do you want to see in Injustice 3, and why? In the meantime, thank you so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, I bid thee farewell. Man, my voice is shot. Riot, 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 what have you gotten yourselves into? I mean, sure, you may have found success with your MOBA, and your auto battler, and your trading card game, and your K-pop band, and your Netflix original series, and wow, you guys make a lot of stuff.